What is going on, everybody? It's Alex back with another video, and today I want to talk about Saints Row 5. If you guys are anything like me, you're probably itching for any little bit of information about the game and getting a little frustrated because we're getting absolutely nothing. It's interesting because I want to cover this game on my YouTube channel every bit as much as GTA 6, but unfortunately about 90% of my YouTube channel right now is GTA 6 simply because there's so much discussion, there's so many, I guess we should say, rumors coming out about the game, and as much as I want to cover Saints Row 5 stuff, it's just kind of quiet. You know, there's not as big of a community around it. Not as many people are talking about it, which means there's not as much fake things going around. The leaks aren't coming out like it would with GTA 6, everything like that. But I'm not leaving this game in the dust. I still want to keep you guys up to date with everything Saints Row 5. And it's pretty exciting because, as you guys know, if you've been keeping up with it, we know that this year we're going to get some information about Saints Row 5. So the year is almost over. We are almost into 2020, which means it's only getting closer and closer to actually getting some details, probably some trailers, and who knows, maybe by the end of the year, we're even going to get the game. So I'm sure there are some people out there that are Saints Row fans, but, you know, maybe forgot about the game or maybe haven't been keeping up with it as much as I have and haven't really heard all the information that's been surrounding it because, as I mentioned before, it is much smaller of a community and all of this information isn't necessarily getting out to everybody. So let's take a minute to kind of bring everybody up to pace. Basically, last year in an earnings call, we basically found out that they were working on a Saints Row game. It was kind of like a weird announcement that didn't really seem intentional. It wasn't like this, you know, extravagant announcement or anything like that. It was really just kind of like done on the marketing side of it. But then, you know, once everyone started freaking out and talking about this new Saints Row game that we now have confirmation that's, you know, they said it was deep in development. You know, obviously people started talking, people started speculating. And then right after that, they basically came out and said, yes, we are working on a new Saints Row game. Next year, we will give you guys some more information. And if you guys were looking for all kinds of leaks and rumors and exactly how the game would look like and everything, unfortunately, we don't have that information yet. That actually brings you up to speed. Basically, we have a confirmation that a new Saints Row game is deep in development, and we're going to get more information about it in 2020. But obviously, that was a few months ago, and there hasn't even been a leak or rumor or anything coming out about the game. It has been strictly speculation. But as I mentioned, we are certainly closing upon the time where we actually get some information. And what I want to do in this video is really kind of speculate, you know, when we're going to be seeing some things, what's going to be happening with the development and, you know, the marketing side of Saints Row 5. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what the game is going to be. Now, I understand that this is going to be a very controversial topic because it seems that Saints Row has kind of created two kind of player bases. Saints Row 1 and Saints Row 2 were kind of, you know, gangster oriented. You kind of like played as that, and it was a little more serious, a little less chaotic, and it really built like a cult following behind it. But then with some of the later Saints Row the 3rd and Saints Row 4, they kind of went on to this, you know, extravagant, like just crazy, over the top, like action movie, fantasy type deal. And it seemed to kind of lose the audience of the people that like the original games, but at the same time kind of create a completely different audience for people that liked that chaos. So there's a big debate in the community right now of whether or not, you know, this new Saints Row game should, you know, kind of bring it back to its roots and be a little bit more grounded, a little bit more serious with the gangster roots, or if it should continue in the path of just the ridiculousness that Saints Row the 3rd and Saints Row 4 had. Personally, I feel like I'm kind of in a unique situation where I never actually played Saints Row 1 and Saints Row 2. I started on Saints Row the 3rd and I also played Saints Row 4, and I really appreciated the game because of its chaos. It was this open world game with just absolute shenanigans going on, and I thought it was very enjoyable. However, looking back to Saints Row 1 and Saints Row 2, all the gameplay and everything from that aspect, I also think that would be tremendously fun, especially in, you know, 2020, 2021, whenever the game is going to come out with the technology and the resources that they have to make a game like that. So honestly, in my opinion, I'm not really super particular on what they do. If they bring it back to its roots of Saints Row 1 and 2, I think it would be incredible. But also, if they continue to just go like crazy and wacky, I think that would also be a very fun game, just kind of marketing to a different audience. Now, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of this regardless, but I'm curious to what you guys think. Like I said, I know it's a very split community, but with the new Saints Row game coming out, do you guys want it to go back to its roots of Saints Row 1 and 2 with more of the gangster vibes? Or do you want it to continue in the path of, just the chaos and the randomness in Saints Row the Third and Saints Row 4? Or maybe do you want it to kind of find some sort of happy medium? Make sure to voice your opinions in the comments. So now let's move on to when I think we're actually going to see the game. Now, I think E3 is the latest that we would, hear about the game. I think, it's quite possible that we would get a full reveal at E3. We get the full trailer. They would, have a panel up there where they're discussing the game, answering questions, things of that sort. I think that's honestly fairly likely. I would say if that doesn't happen, if we're not getting it at E3, we would probably get the announcement and the trailer and everything before E3. So, I mean, anywhere from like January to like April, somewhere there, it could come out just randomly. Maybe they put something out on Twitter. Maybe they just throw something out on their YouTube channel. Maybe they hold their own event. I have no idea. But I think it's going to be one of those two things. At some point in the first half of 2020, I think we're going to get some kind of information just done by them, and if not, I think they're going to have a pretty significant presence at E3. And as I mentioned, when we actually do see the game, my speculation would be that we actually get a full-on reveal. It's not just going to be a tease or like a logo or anything like that. My guess is we will actually get like a full-on cinematic trailer, maybe even a gameplay trailer. Now, release date is a little bit more open-ended. I feel like there really are a lot of possibilities of when we're actually going to get our hands on the game. But again, my speculation is that we're actually going to get it at the end of 2020. My speculation is that a year from today, we are going to be playing Saints Row 5. My speculation is at some point during the first half of next year, we're going to get the announcement, we're going to get the reveal, we're going to get information, everything like that, and then only have to wait, 4 or 5 months or so until we actually get the game, and then holiday season next year, we're going to have it in our hands. Now, obviously, this is all speculation on my part, and I have no real information to substantiate it, but the one thing that I'm thinking about is, at the very earliest, GTA 6 could come out in 2020. Obviously, it would be holiday season 2020, so somewhere around, September, October, November, something around there. And as big of a game as Saints Row 5 is, it certainly has its following. It's certainly going to be a successful game. It's just not going to compete with GTA 6, especially, say kids that are only getting one game for Christmas or something like that. I mean, the smart choice is to get Grand Theft Auto versus Saints Row 5. Just being realistic, looking at the marketing, looking at the value of the games, that's what's going to happen. So it makes sense to me that Saints Row 5 would want to release before Grand Theft Auto 6. If you guys have been keeping up with my content, you probably know that my guess is that we'll see GTA 6 in 2021. And if I'm correct about that, that would mean if we get Saints Row 5 next year in holiday season 2020, it would have a full year to get sales and everything before it would ever have to start competing with GTA 6. That would be a very, very, very good move for Saints Row 5. So although in maybe most situations, it would make sense for them to kind of, prolong their marketing path for Saints Row 5, I feel like in this situation, the best thing to do is to get the game out as soon as possible, because basically any game is going to have trouble competing with GTA 6, but also, the games that it's competing with are kind of games in different markets, but Saints Row 5 isn't even really in a different market. It is a direct competitor. I mean, it is an open world shooter game. It is a direct competitor to Grand Theft Auto 6. So especially with them being a smaller game and being that direct competitor, it makes sense for them to get the game out as soon as possible. And if they can get it out before Grand Theft Auto 6, especially substantially before Grand Theft Auto 6, it's going to help them out tremendously. So in summary, I think 2020 is going to be the year of Saints Row 5. I think we are going to get all of the information, everything about the game somewhere in the first half. And then I think they're going to be teasing us with trailers and everything leading up to the launch sometime in holiday season next year. But it is still far too early to know exactly what's going to happen, and definitely far too early to be able to expect what the game is going to be. So make sure to let me know down in the comments what you guys think about it. Do you think you know what Saints Row 5 is going to look like? Do you think you know when it's going to come out, when we're going to see it? Let me know what you guys think. But that does it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys for the support. Peace out. Didn't come to my birthday party. Rude, but they all found time to go fight the warrior. Like this, me like some